Welcome back. Both parties, of course, locked in their presidential primary battles right now. But we did get a good reminder this past week about the terrain, at least potential terrain, for the 2016 general election. Look at these troubling poll numbers for Hillary Clinton in three big presidential battlegrounds: Colorado, Iowa, and Virginia. 56% unfavorable in Colorado, 56% unfavorable about Hillary Clinton in Iowa, 50% unfavorable in Virginia. Again, three key swing states of presidential politics. In fact, at the moment, Hillary Clinton loses all three of those states to Jeb Bush, to Marco Rubio, and to Scott Walker. So if you're a Republican and you're looking at the map in 2016, this is Obama versus Romney. That's a tough map to look at for Republican. But play out what we just saw. What if Republicans win Colorado, win Iowa, and win Virginia? Now, under this scenario, Hillary Clinton would still be the next president of the United States. But how do Republicans, if they can do that, get to the White House? Here's what they think. Win the two big ones. You take Florida, you take Ohio. It's a Republican presidency, and the Democrats narrowly lose. That's a long way off, but remember, it's a tough map for Republicans, but they can do it with just 5 states, actually. Just change 5 states and you can do it. Lisa Lira, at the core of the questions in Colorado, Virginia, and Iowa about Hillary Clinton were honesty and trustworthiness. With that as the backdrop, it cannot be a good thing to have the Justice Department now getting a referral to investigate whether sensitive classified information was somehow mishandled through her private email server.
Right. This email thing there's little question that this email thing is a problem for Hillary Clinton. Now, you know, folks in the Clinton campaign, the Clinton camp say, look, we know there's a section of the country that will never vote for Hillary Clinton. This email situation reaffirms what they already think. But the danger here is that it sets an early narrative about her campaign. We saw that with Mitt Romney, right? Democrats were really effective as painting him as this heartless plutocrat. So if Republicans are able to use these emails to make Hillary Clinton look like this Washington creature who will do anything to win, that's bad for her. And we're seeing a drop in her numbers, and it might well be attributed to those emails. And there's also, because of a court case, there's a monthly disclosure of these emails that's mandated by the court. So that means every month there's going to be another spate of stories. That's bad for her.
Bad for her. She addressed this yesterday in Iowa. She would prefer to be talking about the economy. She'd prefer to be talking about the issues she thinks helps her first against the Democratic rivals, and then looking ahead to November. Instead, she had to say, I'm confident I'll be fine.
I am confident that I never sent nor received any information that was classified at the time it was sent and received. If we were not asking for it to be made public, there would not be a debate. This is all about my desire to have transparency and make the information public.
That last part makes you roll your eyes a little bit. She was not exactly at the forefront of transparency and trying to make this public. And in fact, if she had listened to the President of the United States, her boss, on day one of the administration and done this on a government server, we wouldn't have these issues. We wouldn't be asking these questions. But how potentially damaging is this? To have an investigation leaves you with lawyers and worrying.
Well, I mean, and, you know, every candidate at some point deals with some kind of investigation, you know, whether it's bogus or not. The problem for the Clintons is that this is baked into their image over so many years. You think about that clip right there. She sounds so lawyerly, and, yes, you know, you have to parse every word, and people don't like that. You know, it just gets at a trust thing that's very hard for the Clintons to overcome, because people do know all of that history, and it revives all of that every time we have this conversation.
Yeah, and they keep saying, listen, the Times is essentially out to get us, right? I mean, that's how they framed it, and the Times did have to do some walkbacks on this story. It'll be up to the public editor to sort all of that stuff out. They also say, well, listen, it's still early. You haven't had the kind of full campaign and sort of attack ads that you'll see going against Walker, going against Bush, whoever, Trump, whoever the nominee is. And they also say, well, listen, Bill Clinton, his trust numbers were underwater when he ran again in '96. So listen, and I think they're also just thinking that voters kind of don't trust politicians anyway, and that's kind of baked into.
Oh, yeah. Voters don't trust politicians, but to your point about the lawyerly answers, that's one of the reasons Donald Trump is doing well. It's one of the reasons Bernie Sanders is doing well. They just seem like they're not filtered.
The Bernie one's an important one to mention. Whenever a Clinton issue emerges, it seems like we always frame it in the context of the general election. Republicans will use this email issue or Benghazi as fodder. But it really could be critical for her in the primary. Iowa, New Hampshire, Sanders keeps drawing crowds. Secretary Clinton seems to be bogged down by these email questions. There's not the momentum she hoped coming out of that Roosevelt Island speech to appeal to the left, start getting a groundswell of progressives. Sanders still has that. And when you talk to Sanders people, they believe he's strong in Iowa. He can win there. He can maybe go into his neighboring state of New Hampshire, win there. He doesn't have a national infrastructure like Clinton, but he could be competitive.
But there are some advantages to her to having a competitive primary. I think, you know, in the Clinton world, they expect him to do better, Sanders to do relatively well in Iowa. He's from the in Vermont. He'll do well in New Hampshire. They think this could be a primary, and that, frankly, is good for them. It's much better for her to have a primary than a coronation. What you're going to have to watch for in the first Democratic debate, whenever that gets scheduled for, is whether they actually take the tough shots. Sanders in Iowa last weekend was really interesting. He was given the bait to go after her on taking contributions from Goldman, and he didn't. He didn't ask her to return them.
He's like, oh,
so
I'm not a negative campaigner.
Take those tough shots on the emails, on the speeches. That changes the dynamic.
You are exactly right, although we could go back to our notebooks in 2007 and find the thing that she doesn't want a coronation, she wants a primary.
Right.